My name is not important yet. What matters is this. I was over 60, with grey hair and tired hands, and they said I was finished. Before I start, my dear, please do something for me. If you like emotional stories like this, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next chapters. And please, go to the comments and tell me which country or city you are watching from. I want to know who is sitting with me tonight, listening to my story. Alright, let me tell you how they told me I was too old to start over. I stood in the middle of my daughter's living room, holding a small travel bag in my hand. My clothes were simple. My shoes were worn out. My heart was loud in my chest. Around me, the room was full of people who were supposed to be my family. My daughter sat on the sofa, arms folded. Her husband leaned on the wall, checking his phone. My son was by the window, shaking his head. Even my teenage grandson was there, watching like it was some kind of movie. I had just told them my plan. I want to start my own business, I said. My voice was shaking, but I tried to stand straight. I want to move out and live on my own. I am not done with my life yet. There was silence. Then my son laughed. Mom, are you serious? He said. You are too old to start over. You should be resting, not chasing dreams like a teenager. My daughter rolled her eyes. Who is going to invest in you? She asked. What do you even know about business? You can't even use a smartphone properly. Her husband added, it's not safe for you to live alone at your age. You will just end up calling us every day for help. We already have our own lives. Their words were like cold water on my face. I swallowed hard. I have some money saved. I can rent a small room and open a little shop. I can cook. I can sew. I can. My grandson cut me off with a smirk. Grandma, just relax and enjoy the time you have left. People your age are not starting new lives. They're finishing. The room exploded with soft laughter. I felt my fingers shaking around the handle of my bag. Please, I whispered. Just support me. I don't want to be a burden anymore. I want to do something with my life. Something that is mine. My son walked closer, his face serious now. Listen, Mom, he said, his voice low but sharp. You are too old to start over. Accept it. Stop embarrassing yourself. You should be thankful we even let you stay here. Those words cut deeper than any knife. Too old. Embarrassing. Let you stay here. Something inside me broke. And something else woke up. I looked around the room. No one stood up for me. No one said, she can do it. No one said, we believe in you. I wiped a tear from my cheek and said very slowly, you think I am too old to start over, but you have no idea what I am about to do. My son frowned. What's that supposed to mean? I lifted my bag. It means I am leaving, I said. Today. The room went cold. My daughter jumped up. You can't be serious. Where will you go? You don't have anyone else. I looked her in the eyes. That is what you think. Her husband snorted. So you have a secret life now? I ignored him. My heart was beating so fast I thought it would burst. I was scared. I was shaking. But for the first time in a long time, I felt alive. I walked to the door. Mom, don't be stubborn, my son said. You'll come back in a week, crying. You can't make it out there alone. I stopped with my hand on the door handle. I turned my head and said, then watch me. And I opened the door and stepped out of their house. The air outside was hot and heavy, but it felt better than the cold words inside that house. I walked down the street with my small bag. I did not know exactly where I would sleep that night. I did not know who would help me. I did not know if my plan would work. But I knew one thing. I was not done yet. As I walked, memories came back to me. Memories of how I reached this point. Maybe you are wondering too, how did this old woman end up here, with just a bag and a broken heart? Let me take you back. Years before that day, I was a wife. I woke up early every morning to cook, clean, and take care of my children. I worked hard, but nobody called it work. They called it duty. My husband used to say, "Your place is in the house. I am the one who does the real work." I believed him. I gave up my dreams. I wanted to open a small restaurant one day, a place where people could eat warm food and feel at home. But every time I talked about it, my husband laughed. "You," he would say, "you are not a businesswoman. You are just my wife." So I stayed quiet. I told myself I was doing the right thing. I was raising my children. I was being a good wife. One day, I thought, they would be proud of me. But that day never came. My husband died suddenly. He left no savings, no house in my name, nothing. The children were grown up and busy with their own lives. I moved from one child's house to another, always feeling like an extra chair in a small room. At first they were kind. "Stay with us, Mom," they said. "We will take care of you." But slowly, things changed. I heard whispers like, "She eats too much. She uses too much electricity. She is always here." I saw the way they looked at me when I forgot something or walked slowly. One evening, I heard my daughter's husband say, "Your mom is becoming a problem. She is not even trying to help herself. She just sits here all day." Those words stayed in my mind. Help herself. What if I did? What if I tried? What if I stopped waiting for someone to save me? That was when the idea came. Small at first. Quiet. Like a tiny light inside a very dark room. I started saving little money. I stopped buying extra snacks. I sewed clothes for neighbors and hid the money in a small envelope under my pillow. When my hands hurt, I kept working. When my back ached, I stood up straighter. One night, lying on a thin mattress in my daughter's guest room, I whispered to myself, "I am not done. I can still do something. I can still start over." I started planning. I visited a small, old building near the market. The ground floor was empty. The walls were cracked, and the paint was falling off, but I could see it in my mind. Bright, clean, full of the smell of fresh food. My restaurant. The owner looked at me and almost laughed. "Are you sure you can handle this place?" he asked. "People your age don't rent shops. They stay home with grandkids." Inside, I was scared. But I smiled and said, "Just tell me the price." That day, I realized something. It was not only my children who thought I was too old. The whole world thought so. But I decided I would prove them wrong. And now here I was, walking away from my family's house with my small bag, heading toward that broken, empty shop, with nobody by my side. Cars drove past me. People walked quickly, staring at their phones. No one knew that in the middle of that noisy street, a quiet war was going on inside my heart. "Turn back," a small voice in my head said. "You are too old. You will fail." They are right. But another voice, stronger now, whispered, "Keep going. Just one more step." Then another. "You are not done." I reached the market area as the sun began to go down. The streets were busy. People were shouting prices. Children were running. The smell of fried food filled the air. And then I saw it. My shop. The old, cracked building. The small door. The dusty window. The place everyone said I could not handle. I stood there, staring at it, my heart pounding. I reached into my bag, pulled out the envelope with my savings, and held it tight. "This is it," I whispered. "This is where I start again." I took one step forward, ready to push the door open, when a loud voice shouted behind me, "Hey! What do you think you are doing here?" I froze, my hand inches from the door handle, as I turned around and saw who was standing there. And what that person said next changed everything. I turned slowly, my heart beating so loud it felt like it was echoing in the whole market. The voice came again, sharp and angry. I said, "What are you doing here?" A tall woman with a scarf tied around her head marched toward me. Her face was tight with frustration, and her hands were covered in flour. People around us stopped to look. For a moment, I felt my legs shaking. Had the owner changed his mind? Did someone else rent the shop? Was I about to lose everything? Before even starting? She stopped right in front of me. "Why are you standing at my door?" she snapped. "Your door," I whispered. I came to rent this shop," the owner said. She raised her eyebrows so high they nearly touched her scarf. "Rent," she said. "No one has rented this place in years. This shop is dangerous. The walls are weak, the roof leaks, and the floor is broken. You want to die inside here." The people watching started to murmur. A few laughed. Someone pointed at me and said, "Look at her age. Why is she trying to start business now?" I felt heat rush to my face. Shame. Fear. Embarrassment. But I didn't move. "I know it's old," I whispered. "But I want to fix it and start a small food shop." The woman stared at me. Then she crossed her arms. "Food shop. Here. Do you even know how to run a shop? This place needs money, strength, and time. Can you handle that?" Her words hit me like stones. Money. Strength. Time. All the things everyone said I didn't have. I wanted to answer, but my voice was trapped in my throat. Then the woman sighed loudly, rolled her eyes, and said something that nearly broke me. "Go home, Mama. You are too old for this kind of stress. Go and rest. Leave business for the younger people." Those words felt like a sharp knife. Too old. Too weak. Go home. I stepped back, feeling my chest tighten. Maybe she was right. Maybe everyone was right. My hands trembled around the envelope of money. What was I doing here? Who did I think I was? The woman turned to walk away. But as she took her first step, something inside me pushed forward, stronger than fear, louder than doubt. "Wait," I said, my voice cracking. "Please." She stopped and turned again. I swallowed hard. My heart was burning. "I know I am old," I said, my voice shaking. "I know my back hurts. I know my children told me to go home and sit down. But I am not done yet. I want to work. I want to live my own life. Even if this place is falling apart, I want to try." The woman blinked. The crowd went silent. I lifted my envelope with trembling fingers. "I came to rent this shop," I said softly. "And I am not going home." Something changed in the woman's eyes. Her anger melted into surprise. Then confusion. "Who are you?" she whispered. And for the first time, I felt brave enough to answer. "I am someone who is starting again," I said. "And I will not stop." The woman sighed deeply. She looked at the broken shop, then at my shaky hands, then at my tired eyes. Finally she said, "Follow me." My heart jumped. She walked to the shop door, reached up, and pulled out a rusty key from a nail hidden in the wall. She unlocked the door and pushed it open. The moment it opened, dust flew everywhere. The air smelled old, like forgotten years. The floor had cracks. The walls were stained. The ceiling had holes. My stomach twisted. Had I made a mistake? This place was worse than I imagined. The woman looked at me and said, "If you want to start over, this is your beginning. But I must warn you, fixing this place will not be easy. And people around here, they will laugh. They will doubt you. They will say you are too old." I nodded, even though fear was swallowing me. She stepped outside and closed the door again. "Come to my shop tomorrow morning at sunrise," she said. "We will talk." I frowned. "Why?" She looked at me, her eyes softer now. "Because," she said, "I want to see if you are serious, or if you will run away like everyone else." Then she walked off, disappearing into the crowd. I stood there alone, staring at the closed door. wondering what tomorrow would bring. But before I could take a step, something unexpected happened. A shadow appeared behind me. A hand touched my shoulder. And a voice whispered, "You shouldn't trust that woman. She has her own plans. And you won't like them." My heart stopped. I turned quickly. And what I saw next made my knees shake, because the person standing there was the last person I ever expected to meet in that market. And the reason they were there would change everything. My heart nearly jumped out of my chest as I turned around. Standing behind me was a man about my age. His hair was gray, his face rough, and his eyes were heavy with something that looked like pain. He wore an old cap pulled low over his forehead and held a broom in his hand. For a moment, I just stared at him. Who are you?" I asked. He glanced around to make sure no one was listening, then said quietly, "That woman you just spoke to, stay careful. Very careful." My fingers tightened around my bag. "Why? What do you mean?" He leaned closer. "This shop," he said softly, "has a history. Anyone who tries to open business here ends up losing money, or worse." A chill ran through me. "Worse?" I whispered. He nodded slowly. "She lends money to people. Then when they can't pay back fast enough, she takes over their shop. She smiles, acts kind, but she is smart and dangerous." My heart pounded. Was this another sign I should walk away? Was this proof that I was making a foolish decision? I stepped back. "Why are you telling me this?" He sighed. "Because I once stood exactly where you are standing." My eyes widened. He pointed at the shop. 10 years ago, I rented this place. I had big dreams too. I trusted her. I lost everything. Pain flashed across his face. "She owns the bigger shop across the road now," he said bitterly. "Built with money from people she crushed." I looked across the street and noticed it. A bright, busy shop full of customers. And there she was, laughing as she served them. My stomach twisted. The man placed his broom down. "You look kind," he said. "And tired. I don't want to see you destroyed the way I was." Tears burned my eyes. "Thank you," I whispered. He nodded and stepped away, blending into the crowd like he was never there. I stood frozen. Fear pulled me one way. Hope pulled me the other. I slowly sat on the low step near the shop door. My legs felt weak. Am I really doing this? I whispered to myself. The sun was setting. The market grew quieter. Sellers packed their goods. Children went home. I thought of my daughter's words. "You will fail." I thought of my son's laughter. "You are too old." Maybe they were right. Just then, my phone vibrated. A message. From my daughter. "Did you calm down and come back yet?" Another message followed quickly. "We can talk if you apologize." Apologize? For wanting a life? Tears rolled down my cheeks. I wiped them quickly. "No," I whispered. "Not this time." I stood up slowly and looked at the shop again. It looked ugly, broken, and tired. Just like how I felt. But tired things can be fixed. I took out my envelope and counted my money again. It was small. Very small. "If I trust her," I whispered, "I may lose everything. But if I walked away, I would lose myself." The next morning came faster than I expected. The sky was just turning pink when I reached the woman's shop across the road. It smelled of fresh bread and hot oil. Customers were already lining up. She looked up and saw me. For a second, I thought she would laugh. Instead, she nodded. "So," she said, wiping her hands, "you came?" "Yes," I replied, standing tall, even though my knees were weak. She studied my face carefully. "You look like someone talked to you yesterday." My heart skipped. "I hear many stories," I said carefully. "But I want to hear from you." She crossed her arms. "Smart." She gestured for me to come inside her shop. It was clean, bright, and full of life. the complete opposite of the broken place across the road. She sat down and said, "Let me be honest with you." I held my breath. "People think I am evil," she said. "But business is not about kindness alone. It is about survival. I help people who want to work, but I expect results." "And if they fail?" I asked. Her eyes hardened. "Then I take what I am owed." Fear crawled up my spine. She leaned forward. "You don't have enough money to fix that place." "I know it. You know it." I stayed quiet. "But," she continued, "I see something in you. You have fire. I can help you, for a price." My hands clenched in my lap. "What price?" She smiled. Not a warm smile. A sharp one. "I will lend you the money," she said. "But you must sign an agreement. If you don't start making profit in 3 months, the shop becomes mine." My chest tightened. 3 months. An old broken shop. No support. It sounded impossible. She slid a paper across the table. "Sign," she said. "Or walk away right now. This is your last chance." The paper shook in my hands as I picked it up. I remembered the man's warning. I remembered my family's laughter. I remembered the words that haunted me. "You are too old." I looked up at her and asked, "And if I succeed?" She paused. Then she said, "Then you will have proven everyone wrong." Silence filled the shop. Outside, customers laughed and talked. Inside, my whole life was sitting on that paper. I held the pen. My hand hovered over the line. If I signed, I could lose everything. If I didn't, I would go back to being nothing. My heart raced as I lowered the pen. And then suddenly, the shop door flew open with a loud bang. A voice shouted, "Stop! Don't sign that paper." I froze. The pen slipped from my fingers. I turned toward the door. And my breath caught in my throat, because the person rushing toward me was someone from my past. Someone I never thought I would see again. And the reason they came was far more shocking than the warning itself. Everyone in the shop turned to look. The door was still swinging when I saw her. My sister. The one I had not seen in almost 20 years. Her hair was messy, her face tired, and her eyes were red like she had been crying, or running for a long time. "Stop!" she shouted again, pointing at the paper in my hands. "Don't sign it." My whole body went cold. "Sister," I whispered. "What are you doing here?" The woman who owned the shop narrowed her eyes. "You know each other?" she asked. My sister rushed toward me and grabbed my arm. Her hand was shaking. "Listen to me," she said quickly. "If you sign that paper, you will regret it for the rest of your life." I pulled my arm back slowly. "Explain yourself," I said, my voice shaking. "Everyone keeps warning me, but no one tells me the full truth." The shopwoman crossed her arms. "This is not your business," she snapped. "Yes, it is," my sister fired back. "Because I was one of her victims." Silence fell like a heavy blanket. My heart pounded. "Victims," I repeated. My sister nodded. Tears filled her eyes. "5 years ago," she said, "I lost everything. My house. My savings. My dignity." She pointed at the shopwoman. "Because of her." The shopwoman laughed dryly. "You failed in business. Don't blame me." My sister's voice broke. "You knew I was desperate. You knew I had no one. You trapped me with that same sweet talk." I felt dizzy. "So this is true?" I asked softly. "You take people's shops when they fail?" The shopwoman looked at me closely. "I offer chances," she said. "Not guarantees. Life is not kind." My sister turned to me and grabbed my shoulders. "Please," she begged. "I know you are trying to prove something. But this is not the way. This woman destroyed me." Tears ran freely down my face now. Everything was closing in on me. I pulled away and looked at the paper again. 3 months. One mistake, and I would lose everything. The shopwoman leaned toward me and lowered her voice. "Old woman," she said quietly, "your sister failed because she was careless. You are different. You are careful. You are strong. I can see it." She placed the pen back in my hand. "All great success begins with risk," she whispered. "Or you can walk away and prove everyone right." Her words hit me deep. Prove everyone right. My sister cried out. She is lying. I closed my eyes. My head felt like it would split in two. Then I remembered something. Years ago, my sister had warned me about my husband's lies, and I hadn't believed her. That memory burned in my chest. Slowly, I opened my eyes. "I will not sign this," I said. Both women froze. The shopwoman's smile vanished. My sister gasped with relief. "I will not sign something that will steal my future," I continued. "But I will also not walk away from my dream." The shopwoman stood up sharply. "Then you waste my time." "Wait," I said. They both looked at me. "I will fix the shop with my own hands," I said firmly. "No loans. No traps. It will be slow, but it will be honest." The shopwoman stared at me like I was crazy. "You won't last 1 week," she said coldly. My sister squeezed my hand. "I will help you," she whispered. For the first time, I felt something stronger than fear. Support. The next few days were the hardest of my life. The shop was worse than I remembered. The roof leaked. Rats ran across the floor. Neighbors laughed when they saw me scrubbing walls with my old hands. One man shouted, "Grandma, go home before you break your back." I smiled and kept cleaning. My sister came every morning. She brought water, paint, and tools she borrowed. We worked slowly. Pain lived in my bones, but hope lived in my heart. One afternoon, as I was fixing a broken shelf, I noticed something strange. Behind the wall, there was another door. I tapped it. Hollow. My sister frowned. "That was not in the building plan," she said. Curious, I pushed harder. The weak wall cracked. Dust fell. And behind it, we saw a small hidden room. Inside was an old metal box. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside were papers. Agreements. Names. Dates. My blood ran cold. "This," my sister whispered. "This could destroy her." Before I could answer, footsteps echoed outside the shop. Heavy. Fast. Someone was coming. I quickly stuffed the papers back into the box. The door creaked open, and the last person I wanted to see was standing there, staring straight at us with fury in her eyes. She pointed at the cracked wall and screamed, "What did you find in there?" My heart slammed against my chest as she stepped inside the shop. Her eyes moved fast, from the cracked wall, to the dust on the floor, to my shaking hands. Her face was no longer calm or confident. It was tight with fear. "I asked you something," she said sharply. "What did you find?" My sister moved closer to me, blocking her view. "Nothing," my sister answered quickly. "Just old bricks and dirt." The shopwoman laughed, but the sound was forced. "You expect me to believe that," she said. "You broke my wall for fun?" I swallowed hard and stepped forward. "This shop belongs to me now," I said, trying to sound firm. "We were only cleaning." Her eyes locked onto mine. For a second, we just stared at each other. Then she smiled, but this time, there was no warmth at all. "Be careful," she said softly. "Some walls should never be broken." She turned and walked out, but not before adding, "I will be back." The moment she left, my legs gave out. I sat down on the dusty floor, breathing hard. "She knows," I whispered. My sister nodded. "Yes. And that means we are in danger." That night, I couldn't sleep. The papers in that metal box haunted my mind. I didn't even read them properly, but I saw enough. Names, fingerprints, signatures. Some dates were recent. Very recent. At dawn, my sister and I returned to the shop. "We have to read them," she said. "Whatever she's hiding, this is the key." With trembling hands, I opened the metal box again. Inside were contracts, just like the one she tried to make me sign. But these were worse. The words were small and tricky. Many people didn't understand what they were signing. And at the bottom of each page, a stamp. Not just her name. Another name beside it. A man's name. My heart dropped. "This isn't just her," I whispered. "She has a partner." My sister's face went pale. "That makes it more dangerous." I turned the pages slowly. Some contracts showed shops taken within weeks. Others showed houses taken after just one missed payment. One paper made my hands shake the most. A contract dated last month. The name on it belonged to someone I knew. My breath caught. "No," I whispered. "This can't be." My sister leaned closer. "Who is it?" Before I could answer, footsteps echoed again. Fast. Angry. The front door flew open so hard it hit the wall. She wasn't alone this time. A tall man stepped in beside her. His face was hard, his eyes cold. "So," the woman said slowly, "I see you are very curious." The man cracked his knuckles. "You should have walked away when you had the chance," he said. My sister pulled me back. "We didn't steal anything." The woman laughed. "You broke my wall. You opened what was not yours." My heart raced. The man took a step forward. Hand over the papers. I backed away instinctively. "These contracts, what you are doing is wrong." The woman's face darkened. "Business has no feelings." She moved closer. "You have two choices," she said quietly. "Give me the box, or I will make your life very difficult." I felt trapped. Two against us. No witnesses. Then I remembered the name on that paper. The one I recognized. My voice shook as I said it. "Why is my son's name on one of these contracts?" The room went dead silent. The woman froze. The man slowly turned his head toward her. "What did she just say?" he asked. My knees almost gave way. "My son," I repeated, tears filling my eyes. "He signed one of your contracts last month. What did you do to him?" The woman's lips parted slightly, but no sound came out. The man frowned. "You didn't tell me about that." I felt something terrible in my chest. Had my son been trapped too? Was that why he wanted me silent, helpless, dependent? My sister gasped. "This is bigger than we thought." The woman stepped back, her voice suddenly sharp. "Get out," she snapped. "Both of you. Now." The man hesitated. "She's asking questions." I said get out, she screamed. Her hands were shaking now. We didn't wait. My sister grabbed the box. I grabbed my bag. We ran out of the shop and into the street, my heart pounding like a drum. Behind us, I heard her shouting. "This isn't over." We didn't stop running until we reached my sister's small apartment. Once inside, I collapsed onto a chair. "My son," I whispered through tears. "What did they do to my son?" My sister knelt in front of me. "We will find out," she said firmly. "But you must be ready." "For what?" I asked weakly. She looked me straight in the eyes. "To stand against your own blood, if that is what it takes." Before I could reply, my phone rang. My hands shook as I looked at the screen. It was my son. I answered. "Mom," he said in a low, nervous voice. "We need to talk. Now." My heart dropped. "About what?" I asked. There was a long pause. Then he said words that made my world spin. "You don't know everything I've done. And if the truth comes out, It will destroy our family. The line went dead. I stared at the phone, my hands trembling, knowing one thing for sure. What my son was hiding was about to pull me into the darkest fight of my life. I stared at my phone long after the call ended. My hands were cold. My heart felt heavy, like a stone inside my chest. "Mom," he had said, "we need to talk." Those words can mean many things. But the fear in his voice told me this was something bad. Very bad. My sister sat beside me. What did he say? I swallowed. He said, "The truth will destroy our family." She closed her eyes slowly. "Then it is already destroying him." That evening, my son came to my sister's apartment. He stood outside the door for a long time before knocking. When I opened it, I barely recognized him. His shoulders were bent. His eyes were tired and red. He looked smaller somehow. "Mom," he whispered. I stepped aside and let him in. He sat down, rubbing his hands together, unable to meet my eyes. "I didn't want you to find out like this," he said. "Find out what?" I asked softly. He breathed in deeply. "I lost my job last year." My heart sank. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I was ashamed," he replied. "I had bills, debt. I didn't want my wife to know. I saw an advert about quick business loans." My sister stiffened. He nodded sadly. "Yes. Her." I felt sick. "She promised to help me open a small transport business," he continued. "The papers were long, confusing. She said it was normal." I clenched my hands. "And you signed?" "Yes," he whispered. "When the business didn't work, they said I failed the agreement." My chest burned. "What did they take from you?" He shook his head, tears falling. "Not yet. They are waiting." "Waiting? For what?" my sister asked. He looked up, eyes full of fear. "For you, Mom." The room went silent. "What do you mean?" I asked slowly. He wiped his face. "They knew you were living with us. They told me if I didn't convince you to stay dependent, to not try anything, they would take the house we live in." My heart cracked. "So all those words," I whispered. "All that shouting, telling me I was too old." His voice broke. "I was trying to protect my family." Tears rolled down my face. "You broke me instead," I said quietly. He fell to his knees in front of me. I know. I am so sorry." I wanted to scream. I wanted to slap him. But all I could feel was pain. "They were using my own child against me," I whispered. My sister stood up. "This is blackmail," she said firmly. "And we have evidence." She pointed at the metal box. My son looked at it in shock. "You found their contracts?" "Yes," I replied. "Including yours." He buried his face in his hands. "Then they will come for me." As if his words called it into the air. A loud knock hit the door. Bang, bang, bang. All three of us froze. I looked at my sister. She looked at me. Another knock. Harder. "Open up," a man's voice shouted. "We know you're inside." My son jumped up. "It's them." My heart raced. "They are early," my sister whispered. "That means they are scared." The knock turned into pounding. The door shook. My sister grabbed my hand. "Do you trust me?" "Yes," I whispered. She pulled me toward the back window. "What are you doing?" my son asked urgently. "Buying time," she replied. "If they don't see her, they have no control." The door creaked. The lock started to turn. My son panicked. "I'll talk to them." I grabbed his arm. "No," I said firmly. "This ends now." The door burst open. Two men stepped inside, the same tall man from the shop and another one I had never seen. "Where is the old woman?" the tall man demanded. My sister pushed me toward the window. "Go." Footsteps rushed toward me. I climbed onto the window frame, my heart pounding. Behind me, I heard shouting. "Stop her." My hands slipped. I screamed. And as I fell forward, the world spun, not knowing if I would land safely, or if this was the moment everything would end. Everything went dark. For 1 second, I thought I was dead. Then pain exploded through my side as I hit the ground outside the window. The air rushed out of my lungs. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't scream. Above me, I heard shouting. "She jumped. Find her." Hands grabbed my arms from inside the apartment, pulling me away from the window. My sister. She dragged me through the narrow space between buildings and into the back alley just as footsteps thundered toward where I had landed. "Can you walk?" she whispered urgently. I nodded, even though my body screamed in pain. She wrapped my arm around her shoulder, and together we moved, slowly, quietly, away from the apartment. Behind us, angry voices echoed. They couldn't have gone far. Search everywhere. My heart beat so hard I was afraid they would hear it. We reached a small, abandoned storage room at the back of a closed shop. My sister pushed the door open and guided me inside. I collapsed onto the cold floor, gasping. My side burned. My hands were scraped and bleeding. "They almost caught you," she whispered, pressing her hand over my mouth as footsteps passed nearby. We stayed like that, holding our breath, until the voices faded. Only then did I allow myself to cry. "I'm too old for this," I sobbed quietly. "I can't run. I can't fight." My sister grabbed my face and looked straight into my eyes. "No," she said firmly. "You're too strong to quit." Her words steadied me. After some time, she helped me sit up. "They won't stop," she said. "Now that you know the truth, they will try to silence you." "What do we do?" I asked. She took out the metal box. "We finish what you started." I stared at her. "How?" She exhaled. "We expose them. Every contract. Every lie." I shook my head. "They are powerful. They have people everywhere." She nodded. "Yes. But they are afraid now." I thought of my son, his tears, his guilt, his fear. "They used him," I whispered. "They turned my own child against me. And now," my sister said, "they underestimated a mother who has nothing left to lose." Her words lit something inside me. For years, people told me to sit down. Stay quiet. Be grateful. No more. We stayed hidden until night fell. My sister used her phone to make calls, to old friends, to people who once worked in the market. Slowly, stories came out. Other victims. Other families. Other shops taken the same way. By midnight, we had names, voices, and proof. But then my sister stopped suddenly. "What?" I asked. Her face went pale as she stared at her phone. "They know where your son is." My heart dropped. "What do you mean?" She turned the screen toward me. A message had been sent from an unknown number. "If you go to the police or the press, your son will pay the price." My hands shook. "They will hurt him," I whispered. My sister clenched her jaw. "This is their final threat." Tears streamed down my face. "I can't risk my child's life." She placed her hands on my shoulders. "Listen to me," she said gently. "He is already in danger. The only way to protect him is to stop them." My chest felt tight. What kind of mother chooses between truth and her child? Then another message came. This one included a photo. My son, tied to a chair, fear in his eyes. I screamed. "They have him," I cried. "Oh God, they have my son." My sister grabbed her phone again, typing fast. "No," she said sharply. "They want you to believe that." What do you mean? She pointed to the photo. Look closely. I wiped my eyes. The room behind him. The clock on the wall. The calendar date. This picture was taken weeks ago, she said. Before tonight. My heart pounded. They are lying, I whispered. Yes, she said. Because they are running out of power. Just then, my phone rang. My son's name flashed on the screen. I answered with trembling hands. Mom, he whispered. I escaped. I'm hiding. But they told me something before I ran. What? I asked, barely breathing. They said you have until tomorrow morning, he said. If you don't give back the papers, they will burn your shop to the ground. I looked at my sister. Her eyes burned with determination. My shop. The place I fought for. The place that proved I wasn't done yet. I clenched my fists. Tell me where you are, I told my son firmly. And don't move. I ended the call and turned to my sister. They want the papers, I said. She nodded. And tomorrow, they want your fear. I shook my head slowly. They won't get either. But as I said those words, smoke drifted past the small window of our hiding place. My sister's eyes widened. Oh no, she whispered. It's starting. I rushed to the window. In the distance, rising into the dark sky, were orange flames, coming from the direction of my shop. And in that moment I knew. They had already made their move. The fire lit up the night sky like a warning. My legs felt weak as I stared through the small window. Orange flames rose and fell, dancing cruelly in the distance. Thick smoke curled into the air. My shop, I whispered. The words barely came out. The place where I wanted to prove I was not done. The place where my life was supposed to begin again. Gone. I covered my mouth as tears streamed down my face. They didn't just burn a building. They burned my hope. My sister pulled me back from the window. Don't go there, she said sharply. That's what they want. But everything I worked for. My voice broke. I know, she said softly. But listen to me. They made a mistake. I looked at her through tears. What mistake? They showed their hand, she said. Burning your shop means they are desperate. I shook my head. They will get away with it. They always do. She grabbed my shoulders. Not this time. By morning, the market was surrounded by people. The smell of burnt wood and smoke filled the air. My shop was black and broken. The walls stood, but everything inside was destroyed. People whispered as I walked closer. That's the old woman who wanted to open business. I told you she wouldn't last. She should have listened. Their words hurt, but they didn't break me. Something inside me had already changed. A police officer stood near the remains. He was taking notes. I stepped forward, my hands shaking but my back straight. That shop belongs to me, I said. He looked surprised. Are you the owner? Yes, I answered. And I know who did this. My sister stood beside me, holding the metal box tightly. We have proof, she said. The officer hesitated. Proof is a serious thing, ma'am. I opened the box and handed him the contracts. These people destroy lives, I said quietly. Mine. My sister's. My son's. And many others. The officer flipped through the papers. His face changed. These names, he muttered. We've heard complaints before. Then now you have evidence, my sister said. The officer nodded slowly. Come with me. For the first time in a long while, hope flickered again. But hope came with a price. As we followed the officer, my phone buzzed again. A message. You called the police. That was stupid. Another message followed immediately. This ends today. My heart raced. They know, I whispered. My sister didn't slow down. Good, she said. Let them. At the station, we told everything. My son arrived later, pale but safe. When I saw him, I ran into his arms. We cried without speaking. "I'm so sorry," he kept saying. "I know," I whispered. "But this stops now." The officers worked through the documents. Phone calls were made. Faces became serious. Very serious. One officer pulled my sister aside. I watched their faces change. Finally, she came back to me. "What is it?" I asked. She took a deep breath. "The man who partnered with her. He is connected. Very connected." My heart sank. Meaning this won't be easy," she said. "They will fight back." As if to prove her words, a loud shout echoed from outside the station. The front doors burst open. And there she was. The shop woman. Handcuffs were not on her hands. Instead, she walked in calmly, with a lawyer beside her. She saw me and smiled. "Poor thing," she said sweetly. "You really thought you could beat me?" My blood ran cold. The officer frowned. "This is an active investigation. You shouldn't be here." The lawyer spoke smoothly. "My client is here voluntarily." The woman looked straight at me. "I warned you," she said quietly. "You are too old for wars like this." Something inside me snapped. I stepped forward. "You are wrong," I said, my voice steady. "I am too old to be scared." The room went silent. She stared at me, then leaned in close and whispered so only I could hear. "You may have burned one path," she said. "But you have no idea what I am about to take from you next." My heart pounded. Before I could respond, an officer ran in shouting, "We have a problem. Right now." Everyone turned. "What kind of problem?" someone asked. The officer swallowed hard. "The main evidence box. The one with all the original contracts." He looked at me, then at my sister. "It's gone." The room froze. My stomach dropped. That box was everything. The woman smiled wider than ever. And in that moment, I realized the fight was far from over. It was only getting uglier. My legs went weak when I heard those words. "It's gone." The metal box. The contracts. The proof that could end everything. "How?" I whispered. "It was right here." The officer rubbed his forehead. "We stepped out for just a few minutes. When we came back, it was missing." The shop woman sighed loudly, pretending to be shocked. "Oh dear," she said. "That's unfortunate." Her lawyer smiled calmly. "Without evidence, this is all just stories," he added. My sister clenched her fists. "You planned this." The woman shrugged. "People lose things. Especially in chaos." I looked at my son. His face was full of fear and guilt. "I'm sorry, Mom," he whispered. "I should never have signed anything." I held his hand tightly. "This is not your fault." But inside, my heart screamed. Was this how it ended? With lies winning again? The officers looked unsure now. Papers were shuffled. Phones buzzed. The energy in the room changed. One officer cleared his throat. "Without the original contracts, our hands are tied for now." The shopwoman smiled at me. "I told you to stay home," she said gently. "Now look at you." I felt anger rise from deep inside me, hot and steady. I took a slow step forward. "You think you've won," I said. She raised an eyebrow. "Haven't I?" I reached into my bag and pulled out my phone. My sister's eyes widened slightly, but she didn't stop me. "You see," I continued, "when you threatened us, when you burned my shop, I learned something." The woman tilted her head. "Oh." "I learned not to trust just paper." I tapped my phone screen and turned it toward the officers. "These contracts," I said. We scanned them. Every single one. Dates. Names. Signatures. The room went silent. The woman's smile froze. The lawyer's face tightened. "You made copies. the officer asked sharply. Yes, I replied. Last night. Because I am old. But I am not foolish. My sister finally spoke. We also recorded conversations. Threats. Messages. The officer straightened. Where are these recordings? I pressed another button. Her voice filled the room. If you don't stay quiet, your son will pay. The lawyer raised his hands. This can be explained. But it was too late. The shopwoman's face changed. Fear crept in where confidence once lived. You tricked me, she hissed at me. I met her eyes calmly. No. You underestimated me. The officers moved quickly now. Handcuffs came out. This time, one officer said firmly, you are not walking away. The woman struggled. You think this is over? I know people. She turned to me, desperation in her eyes. You've already lost your shop, she said. What more do you want? I walked closer to her. I want my dignity, I said. And my life back. They led her away screaming. My son fell into my arms, sobbing. It's over, he cried. It's finally over. I held him tightly. But deep inside, something didn't feel right. Later that night, as we sat quietly, an officer returned. There is something you should know, he said gently. I looked up. What? He hesitated. The man. Her partner. My heart skipped. What about him? He disappeared, the officer said. And before leaving, he emptied all accounts and erased some records. A chill ran down my spine. He's gone. I whispered. Yes, the officer said. And that means the biggest danger may not be over. As if to prove his words, my phone buzzed again. A message from an unknown number. You won a small battle. The war is not over. My hands trembled. I looked at the screen, then slowly raised my head. I'm not afraid anymore, I said quietly. My sister nodded. My son squeezed my hand. But just as I said those words, the officer's phone rang. He answered, and his face went pale. What is it? I asked. He swallowed. The partner just made his move, he said. And it involves you. My heart dropped into my stomach. What do you mean? The officer took a deep breath. He has filed a legal claim overnight, stating that the land your shop stood on. He paused. Does not belong to you. The room spun. And tomorrow morning, the officer added quietly, you may be forced to leave everything behind again. I closed my eyes. After everything. Was this how he planned to finish me? I did not sleep that night. I sat quietly, watching the sun slowly rise, thinking about all the times I had been told to sit down, to be quiet, to accept less because of my age. Too old. That word followed me my whole life. By morning, the legal papers arrived. The land under my shop had indeed been claimed by the partner. On paper, he looked powerful, rich, untouchable. My son held my hand tightly. I'm sorry, Mom, he said again. I failed you. I shook my head. No, I said calmly. This is not failure. This is the last test. Everyone looked at me. For years, I built my life on silence, I continued. Today, I will build it on truth. We went to court that same day. The room was full. Victims were there. Neighbors were there. People who once laughed at me were now whispering my name. The partner did not show up. Instead, his lawyer stood confidently. But when the judge asked for proof, something unexpected happened. One by one, people stood up. Shop owners, widows, families. They all told the same story, the same tricks, the same contracts, the same names. The judge listened carefully. Then my sister stood. Then my son. Finally, I stood. With my shaking legs and tired voice, I told everything. Not with anger. Not with fear. But with truth. When I finished, the room was silent. The judge removed his glasses and spoke words I will never forget. Age is not weakness. Silence is. And this woman has broken hers. The claim against the land was frozen. The partner was declared wanted. All seized properties were put under investigation. I didn't get my shop back that day. But I got something better. Justice. Weeks later, something beautiful happened. People from the market came together. They helped rebuild a small space for me. This time, legally and openly. It wasn't big. It wasn't fancy. But when I opened my doors for the first time, the place was full. Not because I was young, but because I was brave. My daughter came quietly one afternoon. She hugged me and said, "I was wrong." I smiled. I know. So if anyone ever tells you, "You are too old. It's too late. You missed your chance," please remember my story. Starting over has no age. Strength does not retire. I showed them I wasn't done yet. And neither are you. If this story touched your heart, please like this video. Subscribe for more powerful, emotional stories like this. And turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Comment below and tell us where you are watching from. I want to know who stood with me till the end. Thank you for listening. And remember, it's never too late to begin again.